Yeah, so it says on the big machine.
It does. Hello, everyone.
Hey.
Okay. Really good to be back having a conversation. Well needed for me, I can tell you that for certain. Chaos to calm.
Well, based on the topic, I assume this is something relevant in your experience right now.
I think it's safe to say that this is relevant most of the time in my world. I think it's an ongoing, constantly moving from chaos to calm. And unfortunately, or I don't know, the reveal is that I create that. I create the chaos, and then I create the ability to get to calm. Like, I'm responsible for it all. Just sometimes I get a little bit caught up in the chaos.
Well, explain how you bring it on yourself.
Oh, that's a fun. Thanks for that question, Ian. Okay.
I don't know. I think that
So
was facetious or sarcastic at least.
it was a little. Yeah, that's okay. I'll go there. I have this need. I'm going to call it a need because that's the only way I can describe it, to fill all the moments of the day that I'm awake, and potentially fill all the moments of that I'm asleep too, because it does kind of dribble into sleep. But if I get a gap in the day, I'll go, oh, okay, I've got a gap. What can I do now? And so I've done this in varying forms over my entire adult life, and I suspect it's based out of needing to control and feel safe and secure and those kind of needs. So I actually have less, coping need for that, but I still have a habit and behavior of doing this. So for me to sit down and not do anything for periods of time it's very rare. In fact, it's so rare that when I do it, and my lovely husband comes home and says, so how was your day, Chris? And I list it off and I go, oh, and also I had 3 hours where I did nothing. He goes, finally, that's awesome. And he celebrates it. Because he knows that that's just not a thing. So I'm constantly filling my space. That's the thing. So I do that with tasks, and there's always more to do on the to-do list. So if I can pull one of those things that have been sitting on that to-do list and bring it forward, I do that. I did that leading up to this conversation just this morning. Oh, I'll just fit in this one more thing before I get on the call. Constantly.
How's that working out for you?
Usually it's good. Usually it makes me feel productive. It makes me feel satisfied. I like that I can choose and it's at my discretion about what it is I'm going to do now. I like all of that feel. It seems to become a problem. And I say it seems because part of me doesn't even see it as a problem fully, but it kind of is when everything is like that. So we've mentioned it all year, renovations. So they're a bit chaotic at the moment because they're on pause. In my world, in my version, they're on pause. They're not actually. We're getting really lovely space to make some decisions and be really certain about how we're fitting out one of the rooms. And it's all actually okay if I step back and look at it from a big picture view. But in the moment, my house still has piles of books and piles of board games and just sitting on the floor, in random rooms, because they have nowhere to go yet. So I feel like that, like the space that I'm working in and living in is a bit chaotic. And then with a full calendar with business, which is great, and hugely grateful for being able to create a life that has that. Yeah. Well, there's just always more to do, right? It's just this constant, it's like everything is packed in. Then I don't just apply this approach to myself, I apply it to my husband as well, because, you know, I need to get stuff done when he's around. So he's taking next week off.
So you impose your chaos on him.
So I've organized a lunch and going and getting our wills updated and making sure he's got a doctor's appointment booked in, because, you know, it'd be a great week to get that done. And yep.
You're
It's
filling
that stuff.
his gaps too.
I am. That's very productive of me.
So why this topic today then? So I can understand how you're filling your space and everything feels chaotic, but why did you want to raise chaos to come?
Because I'm about to go on holidays for a week. Not very far away from home, only an hour and a half, which is nice, because that way, if anything's really needed, we can get back home if we have to. But we have a week down the Gold Coast, which is going to be lovely. We're going to do all the tourist things. It's going to be a lovely escape from everything. But for the first time in many years, I feel like I'm ramping everything up so that I can go on holidays. So I'm getting as much done as possible so that I can go on holidays, instead of what I normally like to do, which is just feel like every day has a bit of a holiday feel somewhere in it. But I've been packing in so many areas in my personal business and house life that I feel like I'm running the sprint to get to the holiday. So I'm not being able to enjoy the moments. Sure, I'm still adding in a 10-minute walk in the morning, and I appreciate the birds and the trees and all of that stuff, but it feels like it's not enough of a counterweight to how much I've been adding to my chaos. So it's actually the feeling of chaos. So when I looked at my calendar today, and I mentioned this before we put this onto Facebook, I have all these admin tasks to do today, and it's great because I can choose when I'm going to do them. The problem is that because my mindset is feeling chaotic, it feels a bit overwhelming for starters. When I had a moment where I could look at what I've got to do, there's actually only 3 major things I have to achieve. And they may only take half an hour to an hour each. But because it feels like it's a lot and it's got overwhelmed, it feels like, oh, I've got all these admin things to do today. And then I start telling myself that I'm maybe not going to get them all done. And that'd be a nightmare because next week is full as well. And I've got to be about, yep. See, chaos in my thinking, not necessarily in the practical, just in the thinking.
Well, I think that's the thing, right? Because it's our external environment will mirror our internal environment. So what's going on inside of our brain, it just amplifies. So when there's more coming on the outside, it's almost like you bounce like a ping pong ball. Ping pong? No, like this is a little bit of an old reference, but the pinball machine, like it's just banging back and forth, right? So the more that you're, oh, I got to get this done, I got to get this done. Oh, there's another thing, and there's another call, and I've got a gap here. I better fill it with something. You're in the pinball machine right now.
Constantly, that ball is just keep on moving. Can't lose the ball, because then, you know.
But even in that game, when you lose the balls, you have a chance to stop and reset and to like breathe, right? You don't have to put the next ball in right away.
Yeah.
But for some reason, you have a tendency to want to put it back in play right away. Let's get it done.
Yes.
Let's figure it out.
And so that's why I say it's self-created, right? So I create this chaos, and then I have set my life up so that I know the importance of calm. But it's actually quite challenging when you have that chaos. Let's call it a chaos mindset, because it's kind of what it is.
Yeah.
and trying to bring in calm in amongst that is, I actually find it quite challenging. And I find myself avoiding calm activities. And this week I've avoided calm activities. So I figured, well, if I'm doing that, I need to bring it to my attention really loudly. And I find these conversations really helpful to do that.
So why the need to fill this? I guess I want to know is why, what's the payoff for you to stay in the chaos?
Productivity, justification for existence. Oh, there's nothing good.
I was gonna say this. I'm waiting for this. This is gonna be a very heavy side of my justice scale here, because I was waiting for you to fill that up, but nothing sounded good so far. And then I was gonna ask you the same question about what are you avoiding, and what are the benefits of the calm space?
Yeah, so I had a little bit of an insight into that when I was on my walk this morning, because I deliberately don't have any electronic anything with me. It's no AirPods, no phone, nothing. So that I have to come into my own headspace and pay attention to my own thoughts. And on my walk, it was realizing that 10 minutes of that a day is maybe not enough, considering how much other influence I create by sitting in front of a laptop, having my phone at within reach. If I'm not doing that, maybe I'm watching something on TV, there's always a screen involved, and just not getting that space to pay attention to what my thoughts are. Instead, I'm paying attention to lots of other thoughts.
So why is that 10? Okay, so why is that 10 minutes important? I know
Well,
it's
it
10 minutes
helps.
now. I know you think it should be more, and that's fine, but why is the 10 minutes important?
Well, I think the 10 minutes, actually, it's only 10 minutes at the minute because I broke my toe last year and it's causing me a bit of problem at the minute. And so the walking for more than that is not actually good on my physical body. I'm doing all sorts of other physio related things. So the walk is 10 minutes, so that's just all my body really needs to do at the moment, and we're gradually increasing it. So the 10 minutes is more based on the physical capacity at the minute. But the 10 minutes I find really important because in a mental way, because it lets me have more nature input rather than human constructed input.
So part of the reason I'm asking is, if you know, when you know the why behind why you need that space, it's critical, because if you can own that, you can find ways to incorporate more of that why somewhere else. So right now it's a 10-minute walk because that's what your toe allows you. But it could be 20 minutes, half an hour, whatever, but doing something else that is still nature-based, that's not consumed by everything else. But if your why is strong enough, you'll follow through on doing that for you.
So at the moment, it's a physical why, it's not a mental why, but I'm starting to get the benefit of the mental why, which is introducing a little bit of calm into my day. And it's only, I think what this comes down to is we normalize where we're at. So I've started to normalize the chaos and pat myself on the back for being a hero and being able to manage it. Because my physical body and my physio, they go for a walk, Chris, you have to do this. We have to get your body working, and here are the right shoes, the blah, blah, blah. So because someone else told me to do that, so I've been doing that for a number of weeks every day. And it's only now that I am letting in the benefit of the calmer mindset as a result, that it was like, oh, now I realized I've been functioning in chaos for longer than I need to, but I'd normalized it.
And it's a choice. The example I was going to use is pretty basic, but I think a lot of people can relate to it. So over the past 6 months, I've had to drive to the office 3 days a week. And I have a couple of options on the routes that I can take. I can take the highway and go, fast. But it's a lot more chaotic. I can take the side street and it'll probably only take me another 10 minutes to get to work, but it's calm, it's peaceful. There's 90% less traffic on it. So you're not competing or passing or weaving or worried that some moron's going to do something crazy in front of you. But that's the case on the highway. So sometimes I'll justify it. Yeah, I got to get to work faster. I've got to get home faster. But it's almost never worth the payoff, because the calm space for that 45 minutes to an hour to get to and from work is so much more relaxing. I can breathe. I'm not stressed about it. And if I think about it, what's my rush to get to the office and what's my rush to get home from the office? There's just more stuff to do that's going to fill my space. So take an extra 10 minutes, take the calm route, then I'm setting myself up for a good day there and a good day on the way home. So for me, it's choice and recognizing what you're willing to subject yourself to.
Well, I think the recognition's the really key, isn't it? Because we can easily justify the space we get into, me being the classic case for that.
And sometimes I will take that choice. I will say, I'm willing to take the chaos today. I have things, I have an appointment or something I need to get to. If I get it here at the right time, I can take the fast route and I can deal with the crazies for a few minutes. But I've made that choice, right? So I've put myself back in that position, but I try to do it more often than not, select the calm, chaos-free zone.
So we need to get back to making a conscious choice rather than a default choice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep. So I've worked it up into being a default, I can do it all, rather than what do I choose to do now? Yeah. Yep. And I think that like I'll often hear people, so this is, I don't, the other way that I wanted to represent this chaos to calm was, I don't have, this isn't about me, like my version of chaos to calm we've already covered, but a number of conversations that I have with people is about outside influences that they tend to take on, whether it's friends, family, other issues that they absorb outside of themselves, and they take it on and then they hold it. And then they don't know. And then that feels really super chaotic, because not only have they got their own life, but now they're taking on other people's stuff that probably those other people didn't ask for that one, for it to be taken on by someone else. They're just doing their thing, and people feel that they're absorbing more than their life needs to.
Mm-hmm.
And that creates a lot of chaos. And I have many conversations about, well, Chris, I tend to take on, family issues or this thing that's happening, and it's like, okay, so that's got to create more chaos within that system. Then how do you create calm? And what is it that has to leave so that the calm can enter and can re-exist? And I think
I don't think it's any different than what you're saying about you. You get into an unconscious flow about how you go about your day, right? And I think what you're getting at is I think people are just maybe unconscious to how much stuff they're taking in, the media they consume, the things that they're paying attention to, the conversations they choose to have with their friends, the conversations they have with their family, all of this stuff. But if they do it in an unconscious way, they can't choose what to own and what not to own. And honestly, there's only one person that can own your stuff, and it's you.
Yep.
Like, you have to be conscious of it enough that you can say, I love you, but not today. Or I'm not going to pay attention to the news today. It's too much.
Or I'm not going to
solo.
go to the family member who always talks about drama because I don't need to invite that in.
It's a choice. And I don't think people realize that they have more agency in their life than they have. And they just default to, well, I have to, or it's expected of me, or, you know,
I need to go and support them. Yeah,
but I
it's
do.
that.
It's the kind of person I am. Well, great that you can do that, but it's not serving you right now.
And that's that recognition, right? Because we default into it. And then I want to say we fail to recognize that we're just soaking it all up constantly.
Now, I'd love to say that I make that choice all the time and that I'm clear of all this stuff, but it's not true. I do get wound up. I do get involved. I care about people. I try to help them. And sometimes you take on a bunch of extra energy that you don't need to. But it's the recognition that you go there that allows you to be able to pull yourself back. Without that awareness, you can't pull yourself back and you stay stuck in the weeds with everybody else.
Yes. And if we can pull ourselves back, we can, I think the other thing I hear when so I'm great at sharing that for other people, like obviously not as well practiced giving it back to myself. But anyway, so when I share that exact idea with others, the thing that people then have a bit of a fear around with that is that, oh, then people will think I don't care because I'm not involved. I'm not going over and sitting with the family member that is in drama all the time. So people are going to think I don't care now. And it's interesting because we can care in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
We can care with boundaries is the way I like to describe it. Because often the people that I'm talking to have forgotten that they get to have boundaries. And we can still care with boundaries. And it's one of the things that I can hear myself now going, oh, and now I need to apply that to my own chaos to calm. So I'm hearing it.
Right. But yours is self-imposed. I mean, actually, you know what? Yours is no different than theirs. It's just your drama and chaos is around the work stuff and the administrative things that you need to do, and the house that you have decided to tear it all up while you're living in it and then put it all back together again. Your choice, right?
Yep.
Exactly. So your drama is just stuff.
Yep.
And less of the people, I think, in this particular scenario. So
yes,
you've decluttered your life from the drama, but you've created a different version of it here.
correct. And needing to recognize that chaos is just as potentially damaging as emotional chaos. And if we like you've been saying for this entire conversation, getting back to recognizing that we have a choice and giving ourselves and just having that awareness becomes really key in making sure we can produce more experiences of what we're wanting, not just getting caught up in the default.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. Maybe some more breathing today.
Look at what you get to do.
Oh, I'll do some more breathing because I still have my full Friday ahead. So now I can put some of this into practice.
I'm feeling not chaotic lately. So this is this last week has been like the antithesis of most of my life. However, it's I know where you are because I've definitely been there myself. So
Yeah. And it seems to just creep up on me without me realizing. And that's that awareness, right? That's that conscious awareness. Making sure that I go, what am I, like, really asking the question, what, like you said, what's the why? Sure, you asked me about why do I go for a walk? Like, what's the benefit of it? But also, what's the benefit of being in the chaos?
mhm.
And looking at that why and see if it's still serving. If it's not serving, which obviously it's not for me right now, need to do something different.
Ah,
Oh, I love these sorts of lessons in my life.
we are all a work in progress. Trust me, I've got lots to work on too. But it's easier to see it when you're in the calm. It's almost like if your contrast is really big, you see it better. So, like I said, I've had a week that has been very calm. So when I do put myself into a situation where it's more chaotic, I feel it. I know it. I can see it. I can sense it, and I just want to be free from it. So I will.
Where I've been practicing my chaotic muscle.
You've been in it more, so you're a little. It's the boiled frog. You're a little bit. You're a little bit.
I'm
Boiled
okay with the hot water,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
Doesn't make it good for me, but I'm used to it.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Time to get not used to the boiling water. Yes, correct.
Get out of the
Just,
pot.
yeah, get a new pot, cool water.
Awesome. Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, Ian.
Good topic.
Thanks for sorting out my headspace for another week.
Hey, it goes both ways. Trust me. Sometimes I'm
Well,
the cool cucumber, and other times I'm my own boiled frog. So it's good.
well, hopefully the people that need to hear this and see this can also relate, because I can't be the only one. I'm not the only one today that is in this space. So yeah, I look forward to hopefully being a little less chaotic the next time we get to have a chat.